because I know Lee likes to speak a lot. Lee, it is now your turn.
Thanks, Dr. Clark. This kind of looks like me? A little bit. Oh, man, I tell you, mic's on. Thanks, Dr. Brock, for giving me some time. First of all, I am so thrilled by this opportunity, and I want to pay homage to Dr. Brock and the Board of Trustees of Hodges University for recognizing me in this way. This is on the top of the best things that have happened to me in life. I know I've heard rumors that Hodges liked me, but this is a bit over the top, isn't it? So this is just such a treat. And my personality has always been about trying to help somebody else, recognize other people. As I was telling Abdul Muhammad, he said, well, Lee, receiving the spotlight, but usually I'm orchestrate other stuff, and it's not about me. So this is sort of unusual for me to be recognized like this. So I'll try to be as humble as possible when somebody's named some real estate opportunity. It's kind of hard to. Shari is back there in the back. She's hosting Lead This Live. Let's give her a hand. Make sure I pay homage and recognize my wife, Michelle, right here. Michelle Pitts. My son, Brandon. My mother-in-law, Phyllis Hood. My immediate family here locally, and I know that we're recording this in many places, and my family back home in Birmingham will get to see this. I'll go home and we'll watch it on the flat screen TV. So I want to make sure I call their name on TV so we're at home. So I certainly want to recognize my mother, which is the primary reason that I'm standing here before you. Johnny Pitts Brown, recognize my mom. Give my mom a hand. I recognize my father, who's probably shocked that his name is going to be on the building. I'll tell you a little bit about him shortly. But my father's name is Lee Pitts as well, so let's give him a hand. My siblings, you don't have to give a hand, but I'm going to call their names, get their name on television. Diane, Yvonne, Eugene, Lily, Betty, Gail. Those are all of my siblings, so it's 7 of us. Now you can give all my siblings. So I stand here representing the Pitts name, and the fact that I'm representing the Pitts name, they are so proud to be a part of this as well. I mentioned that my father was not directly involved with me growing up. He was around, but around 3 years old, my mom and my father separated. So my mom raised 7 children by herself. And so when Dr. Brock says that I come from a long ways, we grew up in the housing project. My mom raised 7 children by herself, and nobody would have ever dream, nor me either, that a fine university like this would be attaching my name associated with such a great institution like Hodges University. So again, I want you all to give Hodges University a standing ovation. Standing ovation. Thank you. You can be seated. I'm feeling like the president of the United States. My good friend Jesse Dorch has come out to document it with his fine television show on Community TV 1 is online. I see Marcus Goodson. I never would thought you would come out and show up, man. I'm so proud that you came out. I know you think that it's not a big deal to me, but that's my good friend Marcus Goodson. He's the executive director of the Housing Authority. Also, I want to recognize 100 Black Men, which I'm a member of Southwest Florida. We got Vernon right there. He brought some of the students out so they can envision what they want to be in the future, and I hope I set a good example for the kids right there, okay? 100 Black Men. We have some of my brothers here from Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. We also have Zeta Phi Beta is here. We have a lot of Greek letter organizations that came out to support me. I can't call everybody's name. I know you know me personally, but I see you, I hear you, I've heard your applause, and I want you to know that it did not fall on deaf ears, okay? But Dr. Chapman, right there with the pink hat on. Stand up, and speaking of diversity, Hodges University has a fabulous diversity department headed up by the diversity chief. And I know she's behind the scenes, willing and dealing. She's a good friend of mine. We text each other every week. Gail Williams. Also, Southern Christian Leadership Conference is represented well in here. The president is here. I already recognized the chairman, which is Willie Battle. And I see Lee Ford is here from the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Thanks for coming out, Lee Ford, the president. Now, the Phil, who was up here early on, Phil, he has been behind the scenes making all this wonderful event come to reality. Phil was a part of the meeting that I had with Dr. Brock. And I've known Phil for a long time, but to see him in that meeting and to see the passion behind him and Dr. Brock basically saying, hey, will you let us name this student? I mean, come on, yeah, you can name it. And so Phil, I want to recognize you again, Phil, right there. Great. And Adrienne, I see you back there, Adrienne. I know you worked hard organizing all this, emailing me. I want you to get your proper due. That's her in the hall. Raise your hand, Adrienne. She's assistant to the president. Get away. I think I pretty much got it. Oh, we have an Olympian in here. Gold medalist, world record holder. Bob Beeman, the Olympian. A good friend of mine now. There's Bob Beeman, the Olympic world record holder in Munich. That was Munich, right? Munich, the long jump in Munich. You guys remember him? Google him. That's an American treasure right here in Hodges. Now I know this is probably in this particular room right here. This is probably the largest amount of African Americans minorities been in this room at one time. Okay, and that's a good thing because I want you all to know about Hodges and get a chance to come over here and tour Hodges because of my good friend Joe Turner, who's the Director of Public Relations. Joe Turner right there with the camera. He brought me in here about a year and a half ago, gave me a tour. I was over here to interview Dr. Brock and some other people. And we were sitting right here. I was doing the interview, not in my wildest dreams, thinking one day this building will be named, I was thinking it's a really nice room. And so I want to recognize Joe Turner too. Now let's go back a bit and go forward, and I'll keep it brief and then I'll take a few questions. The Hodges. How did it all come about? Why am I standing up here in the first place? Quiet things happen without a lot of people knowing about it. And some of you may have heard me say that everything is black and white. Everything is black and white. But sometimes we make them gray because we don't want to make decisions. So we create a gray area. And in that gray area, a lot of things get lost in the gray. But real leadership makes decisions. And so you have black and white, black versus white. You make the decisions and you move forward. So Hodges University made a decision that actually impacted me long before standing up here, long before I even knew that good things would happen to me later. Before I go any further, I want to recognize my mentor, Roy Kennedy, Frank Kennedy. Raise your hand. I don't want to miss you. That's right. No big hurry. Okay, so here's how black and white plays out. So early on, before Leapers Live was all that it is today, I was a young banker in the area. Hey, the mayor is here, Mayor Humphrey. Good to see you, Mayor. Good to see you. I've interviewed Jim Humphrey many times. Just want y'all to know I know the mayor. I still call him Mayor Humphrey. And I see Mike Jeffrey from Grenada. I'm an honorary Grenadian. That's Mike Jeffrey. My wife is from Grenada, and my mother-in-law black and white. So I interviewed somebody from Hodges University early on, my first couple of years on the air. One of the things about being on television, and I can't help but talk about television in this sense because that's what brought Hodges and myself together. They said to me, I interviewed a student, and I was impressed with the student. And afterwards we small talked, and she said, you know, you ought to have a conversation with International College. That is what it was called back in the early 90s. And I told them, hey, I need to get sponsors and advertising people to make the show become a reality. It was pioneering. There was never a show on television hosted by a person who looked like me or any of those types of things. So I was having difficulty, believe it or not, I was having difficulty at the time getting to be a role model. She said all of those things as though I was going to say no. So that's how it all started. And of course I said yes, and here we are today. And we started putting together a list, and then people would be invited, and we come to this moment. Now, let me share a little story with you, a couple of stories, and then I'll wrap it up. I'll take a few questions. Let's go with, Birmingham, Alabama. There's a college there that's called Miles College, historical black college. I never went to the college. I went to Talladega. But I've adopted Hodges as my place I graduated. So when I'm moving around as a child in Birmingham, I had no aspirations about going to college. I just didn't see the money. Housing projects, welfare, food stamp, 7 kids. What's up? So anyway, I'll skip through how I ended up in college, but I ended up in college with academics got me there. And at the time, I wasn't known for sports or anything. I was president of student government in high school, and I was known as the smart guy. I didn't like being known as the smart guy. That is a story within itself. Vernon, we know what we're trying to do with the youth. Dr. Dewey, I didn't want to be known as the smart guy. It just wasn't popular in the neighborhood. We go to the grocery store sometimes. Me and my mom would bump into classmates in the grocery aisles. They would be with their mom, and they would tell their mom, oh, that's Lee Pitts, the smart guy in the class. My mom would look at me and say, why are they calling you the smart guy? It was just dead late with me that. It's the first time I ever said it in public. I'm not trying to say I'm smart. It's just the way it was. Anyway, so when I arrived in college, a couple of administrators in college asked me, was I related to Pitts at Miles College? I said, no. Asked me all the time. I didn't know why. So somewhere along the way, years later, a friend of mine told me, you know they have a dormitory at Miles College called L.H. Pitts. The dormitory is up in big letters, L.H. Pitts on College County. My initials are L.H. Pitts. Lee Herman Pitts. So they said, if you had gone to Miles College, people would think you were related to the guy they named their dormitory out. Well, that would be cool. That would be pretty cool. I would lie and say, me. But here's the cool part. So when Brandon, my son right here, and my wife, we went home to visit my dad. My dad's name is Lee Pitts, so we decided to go up. I said, let's go up to Miles College and see this building that has my name, our name. I thought my dad would get a kick out of it. He's in his 80s. So we went up, remember Michelle? We went up with our camera and we stood in front of the building. L.H. Pitts took pictures. And I had planned on maybe one day telling a tall tale. L.H. Pitts. This building is named after me. So now, I don't have to do that. Thank you, Dr. Rock, for not having me to have to tell a tall tale. I can come here now and show the real picture is real. How you like that, Bob? What a story, huh? This was what, about 3 years ago, Michelle? About 3 years ago. Brandon was about 2 years old. So we got the pictures and everything, and of course we have pictures standing in front of us. That's one good story. Another story that I like to tell is this moment in history, how Hodges University has always been on the right side of history. How Hodges University is really proud of the fact that I'm an African American. Now, some people might say, well, they emphasize that Lee has other. That's great, because we're celebrating diversity and inclusion. It's okay for people to look at me and see that I'm an African American. How can you not see that I'm an African American? Also, when you see that I'm an African American, Hodges, my research, not Hodges' research, my research shows that there are no other higher education institutions in Southwest Florida that has property named after an African American. So Hodges is on the right side of history. They're in the forefront. They're not waiting on other people to do things. They're doing it themselves. And diversity and inclusion, from the moment I started interacting with Hodges University, it's always been about diversity and inclusion. So if you ever, if you're going back to school or you have children, make sure you find out about Hodges University. Research Hodges before you make your decision. They will welcome you into their university. They got one in Naples. They got one here, campus here. Students, they won't normally pay attention. But when people introduce me, they read my bio, then the students start listening. They'll sit up and they'll listen because they think you're somebody. So if they think you're somebody and they'll listen to you, then you can espouse some information to them that may help them. So now they'll be able to say, and he also, student union building at Hodges University was named after Lee Pitts Hodges, Lee Pitts Student Union, and then they'll listen to me, and then I can trick them with some knowledge. So, thanks for letting me know. Now, at this time, I'm going to say the way I always close, and then I'm going to take a few questions, and we'll move from there. Great educator at Morehouse talked about time management. I read it somewhere when I was young. And it went something like this. You only have a minute, with only 60 seconds. It's thrust upon you. You didn't seek it nor did you choose it. It's up to you to use it. A tiny little minute. Your life locked in. And that's the way I try to govern myself. I try to manage my time. I try to do multiple things, from teaching swimming, to the banking career, to the television show, and all the things that go on behind it, is to try to manage that time. And luckily I have a wife that allows me to do all these things. So I want to, again, show my appreciation to Hodges University. This is the highest honor you can pay to me, and I hope that other people will aspire to do good in their lives and know that if you work hard at things, if you try to do the right thing, down the road, don't necessarily happen immediately. I know I'm pretty young to have a building, my name on it, made me feel kind of old, but things happen. I see you back there, Dr. Sheriff, a good friend of mine in the list. Don't think I want to make sure I recognize you. Good friend of mine. Okay, I see you now, Ray, back there. Okay, from the Children's Network of Southwest Florida, good partners. So at this time, I'm going to act presidential, and I'm going to open the floor for a few questions